Alright, you guys, so this is 8.2. We're going to be working with percents, fractions, and decimals, and that's your standard. Your objective is to be able to convert back and forth from fractions, decimals, and percentages, at least with an 80% accuracy given your independent practice. So first what we're going to do is writing a percent as a fraction. So basically, remember, percent means per hundred. So what we're going to do is this means 35 per hundred. So that means 35 out of 100. Okay, so that's my first step. I'm just going to write it over 100. But then I have to simplify. So I'm going to take 35 over 100. And then I'm going to look at the common factor between 100 and 35, which is 5. Remember, any number that ends with a 0 or 5 is divisible by 5. So I can divide by 5 on both top and bottom. So 35 divided by 5 gives me 7, and then 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. And 7 and 20 do not have another common factor but 1. 7 is a prime number, so then I'm done there. Okay, let me give you another one. So for instance, if you had, 20 over 100, I mean 20%, that will be 20 over 100, and then you basically divide by 20 over 20, which you end up having 1 over 5, which will be your final answer. There are times that you cannot simplify any longer, so you just keep it like that. Okay, so that's writing a fraction, writing a percent as a fraction. Again, you just write it over 100, and then you simplify. Now, writing a percent as a decimal, so basically what you're saying, again, once we look over here, it's 35 over 100, which is basically dividing. So you basically have 35 divided by 100. Okay, that's basically what you have in there. And I can do that. So remember, first one goes into the house. So I'm going to say 35 divided by 100. 100 cannot go into 35. So I have to add a decimal here, bring it up. So that's 0 times, and then add a 0 here. So that will be 3 times. That's minus 300. I have 50 left. I add another 0 right there. So that gives me 5. So that's minus 500. So it's basically 0.35. Okay, 35 hundredths. Okay, that's a hundredths place. Instead of doing this, there's a pattern, that was found for any base of 10. When we divide by 100, that's how many places I need to move, by a base of 10. That would be 1. That will be 2 times. This will be 3 times, right? And so forth and so on. And when we multiply, we go to the right. And when we divide, we actually move our decimal to the left. Because, again, you're making it bigger. And right here, you're making it smaller. So in this case, I don't have to do all of this because I know that once it's percent, what I have to do is I'm going to look at my 35. And I know that that all whole numbers have a decimal at the very end, okay, to the right of them, okay? Because remember, $35 is the same as $35 with 0 cents, okay? So there's a decimal point there, but we don't write it. So again, I have my decimal point right here, and I'm going to move it to the left 2 times, okay? So I'm going to move it to the left 2 times. So I'm going to say 1, 2 times, okay? So again, I ended up with 0.35, which is the same answer that I got right there, okay? What if I give you 130%? Okay, again, that will be decimals right here, so it's gonna be 1, 2, so that will be 1.3 in decimal form. Okay, but what if I give you 0.035? Okay, again, I'm gonna move my decimal to the left 2 times, right? That was percent. I'm gonna move it 2 times. I'm gonna say 1, 2. I need to put a decimal right there. That's my new place for the decimal point, and then I need to add a 0. So then this in the decimal form will be 0.0123 and then 35. Okay. What if you had another one? Would be, let's try if you had 5%. Okay, again, the 5 has a decimal at the very end, so I'm going to say 1, 2, decimals right there, and that will be my answer, 0.05. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to go into fractions as percent. And this depends on what you have. So for instance, if you have a fraction whose denominator is a factor of 100, that means that you can divide 100 by that number. Or you multiply by a whole number to get to 100, then that's the way to do it. So you can write a proportion. Remember, proportion is basically 2 ratios equal to each other. Okay, so then our equivalent fraction. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a proportion. So I already have that 3/25, and then I'm going to write 100 as my denominator. And then you're going to think, what factor did I multiply 25 times to get to 100? That will be times 4. Remember what I do to bottom, I do to top. So then that gives me 12/100. Okay, and then after I do that, so now that you have this, you're basically saying that you have 12 out of 100, which equals to 12%. Okay, 12 per 100. Alrighty, so that's how you do it. You don't have to do it that way. You can also, what you also can do is divide it. So you do 3 divided by 25. So that is 0 times, add a decimal, bring it up, add it 0. That will be 1 time. So you have 5 left, add another 0, bring it down, and that's 2 times. So again, you end up with 0.12, and then you basically multiply by 100 or move your decimal to the right 2 times. Okay. So again, right here, that's basically what we're doing. This one, the 8 is not a factor of 100 because I will have to multiply by a decimal to get to 100. So then what I'm gonna do is divide. So 5 divided by 8. Remember, first one goes in the house. I'm gonna say 5 divided by 8. So that's 0 times decimal, decimal, 0. That will be 6. So 6 times 8 is 48. And I have 2 left over, bring that as 0. That will be 2 times, and that's 16. Then I have 4 left, and then bring that as 0, and that will be 5 times. So in this case, in decimal form, this is 0.625. So 625 thousandths, okay? But I want to change that into a percent. So to change into a percent, I basically multiply it by 100. Okay, so if I take that and I multiply by 100, that will 0, and then basically skip that. So that's the second place, and then this I have 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So this will be 62.5%. But if you remember this trick right here, remember when we multiply by 100, I'm gonna move this many places to the right of the number. So I don't have to do this one. I can just say, okay, this is 6.25. Decimal is right there. So I get 1, 2, bada boom, 62.5. And don't forget to add the percentage symbol. Okay? And then lastly, we're going to be writing a decimal as a percent. So again, different ways to do it. This one is basically 35 thousandths, right? So you can work with proportions if you wanted to, but the two easiest ways is to basically move the decimal twice to the right. Okay, so once you go from decimal to percent, you have to move your decimal twice to the right. Okay, so you say 1, 2. So this will be 3.5, and don't forget to add your percent symbol at the end. Okay, or basically what we're doing is we're basically multiplying by 100. Okay, so then if I were to do that, let me do it the long way. They have 1, 2, 3 to the right of the decimal. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So the decimal should be right there. So again, I end up with the same thing. Okay. So remember, writing writing percent as a fraction. You write over 100, and then you simplify, and then you make sure that you get to the simplest form. And then writing percent as a decimal, you basically divide by 100, or just move your decimal twice to the left. Writing decimal as percentage, you basically move it to the right, so use the opposite in this too. And then writing a fraction as a percentage, you can create a proportion, or you can use divide and multiply by 100, which is basically you divide to get the decimal, and then you move your decimal twice to the right, and make sure that you add the percent symbol. Okay? Remember, math's magical. You're amazing. You got this. We believe in you. Bye.